How's it going today, guys? We all kind of have projects here and there that we put off till rainy days, and you could probably hear it, but it is raining pretty good today. So I guess it's time for me to start on this. We're going to work on replacing the turn signals on my 74 CL200. You may ask why. Well, I have stock ones up front, and in the rear, when I rebuilt the bike, the poor bike, the rears were tore up. So I bought some cheap $20 ones off eBay, 4 of them in that set, and I broke 3 doing my various adventures, laying the bike over, accidentally hitting them when I'm moving around here. So although they do look metal, they're cheap plastic. I liked how narrow they were because I do drive through trees and odds and ends, hence why I want to make my fronts a little shorter. I also think it gives it a better look with shorter turn signals. They don't look like they're giant wings. So we're going to start on this. Now, I did buy some metal ones. I realized I don't have all the hardware, so we're going to see how far we can get before I have to go buy hardware, which I can go do that later this afternoon, hopefully once the rain lets up. So, get started here. So what I bought was some aftermarket ones. I bought the hardware I knew I was going to need on the rear, although I thought there was weld nuts on the back of the for the rear, but I don't think they are. I think they're actual nuts, so I think I'm gonna have to go get hardware for that. My tabs are all bent because this bike has been beat up, but I bought metal ones this time, so hopefully that'll help prevent me from knocking them over. These are supposed to be reproductions of Honda lenses, which they're close enough that I'm not going to complain. We'll see how they work here. Sometimes when I work on these bikes, I really wonder, what did I do? Why did I do that? And I really hate taking out the headlights, because then it just becomes a huge mess. Can of worms, as you could say. Alright. I don't know why I never bought a bulb for this. It's probably out of time. But we're going to work on the right side here. We're going to have to dig it out. Figure out where that wire is. I don't think it's that one. Just kind of pull out all the wires. I know which wire it is. I can see it back here. Oh, that's it. Now tracing it down to the other side. Here it is. And here we are. One down. One front down. Let me get some tools and we will unwind this bad boy out of here. You can tell this has been repaired too. I don't know if you can there, but at one point in time it's been repaired. I think that's a 14mm. If I can get on it. Yep, it is. It's probably going to be a 17 or 18, I'm guessing, outside. 17 on 18. That means it's an adjustable wrench, because that's as high as mine go. This bike has been laid over a large amount of times, I'm guessing. Not just by me, by the previous owner. The previous owner had this bike when he was in high school, and he told me stories about him driving quite a long distances on this bike. Alright, so we got the left hand in. I'll work on the right. If you didn't know, Honda color coats their turn signals. The right hand is like a baby blue. Sometimes it's usually baby blue. And then the left hand side is orange. I'm going to start in on taking this side off and see how we can go. Now I'm really hoping these rear wires are going to be long enough, because I just realized they travel all the way up into here. So it's a bit of a stretch. We'll see here. I think this is 14 millimeter. Yeah, it is. Guess I should have started at the rear. Well, that's partially why I want to replace these. They just kind of boop, pop off. Not their problem. It's more my problem. I upgraded toolboxes recently, so now it's become. That's alright, I found some hardware in my little bin, so should be good to go here. Let's see if I can put it together. Let me just kick the camera a bunch. So I'm going to put a flat washer on there, hopefully that'll help hold everything. A lock washer, like the front, and then my nut. I don't know what size it is. It might be 10 or 12 millimeter. Look, I have a 10 on hand. A spare one. It is perfect. I may get chastised because I'm not using the proper size screwdriver. That's okay. It's okay for right now. I need the angle. More than anything. I try to get this as tight as I can. Well, it doesn't look bad. Got the rubber vibration. We'll let it do its thing. Perfect. Perfect. All right. I think these were supposed to be clipped up to here. I'm not sure how they traveled up there. But there we go, it's clipped up. Yeah, and I'm going to have to run some sort of ground so I can fix this system. I might just run it to somewhere in here. Now on the other side, this has been, you're wondering why it's taped. Well, I'll tell you why. Because if I can get the tape off, I could be stronger than the tape. I could be stronger than the tape. It's been super glued back together a couple times. Right in here is where they usually break. I'm not super worried about it right now, so if it breaks, it breaks. And I put my Unfortunately, my right rear is not working. So, now I gotta figure out why that is. I think that was the reason I was having trouble initially. So I had to give the battery a little bit of charge, obviously, because it wasn't wanting to actuate or turn on the turn signals. So let me turn the right hand on here. Front is working. The rear is not. So just to do a quick troubleshoot here, all I'm going to do is slip the... Right. Looks like I got a problem down here. So we'll pull that bulb off. Again, these are brand new, so this kind of stinks, but... So I got the rear off. Let me see if I can put the bulb back in and maybe it's just making a bad contact. Okay, let me get my... Make sure it's getting power. There we go. Scoot back here and see if it just... Well, it's getting power, so I don't understand why it's not doing its thing. Kind of the fun parts of aftermarket parts. So we will... For some reason it's not getting a great ground. Go to the ground on the harness. Well, I can solve this pretty quickly. I'll add an extra wire in here. We can ground this bad boy out, which is kind of weird because the other side works great. But, you know what? We'll run another wire on that side too, just in case. That'll solve any of my issues. At least I hope. So I'm going to start here by just scavenging wires. I wrapped these harnesses with tape. It's not electrical tape, this is so here's what I've done so far. I took the blue plastic end off a crimp connector, put it on here. I've kind of halfway smashed it onto the wire itself so it won't pull off, and now I'm going to put a little solder on it to ensure the wire is making good contact. I got my heat shrink up here already. That's the one thing everybody always forgets. That's what I always forget as well. So don't feel bad. I think everybody does it. So let's see if I can get this warm enough here. Trick is going to be getting everything. Okay, it's installed. So let's check it. See if it's got a good ground now before we put the bolt back in. And I'm just going to go right here. Sounds like it's got a ground. Let's put the bulb in, see if it works. Well, that's all it was. A little bit of a ground issue. I don't know if you can see the front, but the front is blinking as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that same thing I did over here to the other side, just so I don't have problems in the future. Some of my problems here with length, I have just added in that extra end. I haven't soldered it yet, but what I plan to do is I twisted them together. I have my heat shrink somewhere on here. It's hiding down here. I'm going to solder these together at this junction, and that way when I'll pull these, once I'll unplug these wires here in a second, rewrap it the way I had it, plug it all back in, and no one will know the difference. So once this is up to temp, which it is now, I'm going to slip it under here. Try to put a little bit of solder there. There we go. You'll see it wick in. There we go. Isn't that cool? Give it a little tug, because this is the time, if it's going to break, you want it to break now. We will pull that up there. Turn that back off. This guy out. My glorified hairdryer. Done. Plug it in, make sure it works. Unplug it, wrap it all back up. Some wire wrap. 1, to tidy it up. 2, to make sure it cut there, somewhere in there. Cut there. 2, to make sure it stays together and doesn't get caught up anywhere. Alright, we will turn our right turn signal on. And there we go. It still works. Did a great job. Basically, I'm just going to continue on finishing this up. And I'll bring you back up to speed where I'm at. So I was going to go ahead and wrap this side, then do the other side and show you the wrap on that side, but I realized I'm going to end up fighting it a lot more due to the fact the exhaust sits in this area. So what this stuff is called is dry vinyl wrap. I believe that at least what it's called. And it's non-sticking. It basically just sticks to itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slowly hold this and try to get it. So once you get it going, it becomes fairly easy just to whip it around and get everything nice and tight. Again, I haven't used this stuff since last time I did this on the bike, and that was years ago. Maybe that. So after you get to where you need to go, you do a couple wraps around like so, and then you're just going to pull some off here, rip it off, go back a loop or two, twist it around, and pull it tight. And that's it. Trim that off and it looked pretty good. So to wrap up this video, I wrapped up the wiring, got it all plugged in. That one's kind of wonky, but it doesn't need that ground. It's in there, it's a little loose. I need to tighten it up just a little bit. But, flip on the turn signals. Boom. 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 Guess that won't work. Boom. I got working turn signals again. I'm street legal. Not that I'm ever worried about that all the time. I can put that all back together. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos.